Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience, and happy, merry December. We are there.
Yes, we are. You're in the right place at the right time, just where you were meant to be. Whether you're live streaming or you're here with us in person, everyone is welcome here. Let's sing about it. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Good morning to those live streaming. You're in the right place at the right time. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. Right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome here. You know you're welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yes, it is. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Everybody's welcome. My soul is welcome. Everybody's welcome. My soul is welcome. Everybody's welcome. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center Experience on this first day of December 2019, which means the year is almost over.
And this is Reverend James Trapp, and I'm Reverend Deborah Phillips. And we greet you this morning in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this ministry, Spiritual Life Center. If you're with us for the very first time today or love streaming for the very first time, we especially want to welcome you because we know you are not here by accident. Every one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
and we're very excited about our service today and having you with us. And we also are very excited and relieved when you silence your cell phones.
And with that silence, we have an opportunity to have a direct connection to this presence. So let's commune with it for a moment and realize that we are surrounded by a sea of divine and perfect love. And this presence is around us and is within us and is our very life and being. It contains everything we could ever hope for, want, or desire. Transformation happens when we connect with it. Healings happen. Upliftment happens. Insights happens. We begin to see beyond our normal sight, but with insight. And so we're grateful that we have the opportunity to be the vessels and the vehicles for the radiation of the qualities of this presence, so that we can say that when you see me, you see the presence that sent me. For this presence and I and all of us are one. So we go forth with that being the top of our awareness, forefront of our consciousness, and we speak from this consciousness, we think from this consciousness, and we act from this consciousness. Thank you, divine presence. Amen. Well, as we always do each week, we affirm the 5 basic principles of unity. In the event someone says, what does unity stand for? You can say the following to them with no problem at all. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. We must take action. And this being the first day of the month for December, anyone born in December, we invite you to please stand so we can give you a special birthday song.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya.
There's a transformation in our lobby. And
Yes, there is. It is very transformed.
We had several people here yesterday decorating, and it's gorgeous, and we just want to say thank you. And if you were here, stand up, please.
Yes, any of the decorators that may be here this morning, thank you.
Our Wow Wednesday this week is the drumming circle with Dominic Garcia, the Afro-Caribbean drumming circle. And we do have drums here, but if you have your own drum, you can bring that and join in the festivities. And then if you're looking for a slightly quieter experience, I do hold a spiritual exploration discussion group over in the chapel at the same time. So the soup is at 6 and the service and the drumming start at 7.
And next week, we're going to have a guest, Garland Landreth, and he's going to do the Sunday talk as well as a 2-part workshop, and also available for individual appointments. Many of you may remember him if you saw the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? And he's going to share a little bit more about what he's going to offer in this upcoming video right about now. This now.
Hi, I'm Garland Landreth, and you might have heard of my research in the movie What the Bleep. And in that movie, we talked about how we took 4,000 transcendental meditators into Washington, D.C. and actually reduced the crime rates while we were there. Now, in this seminar, what you'll be learning is how to create the life of your dreams by using cutting-edge techniques combined with quantum field technology. Now, to date, I've probably taught well over 30,000 people how to manifest the life of their dreams. And one of the questions I always ask in all my seminars is how many people know what their problems are, but they keep making the same mistake over and over again? And of course, everybody raises their hands. Well, that's not your fault. These are simply old brain pathways that are structured in your subconscious that have been holding you back. And so what we're going to do in this seminar is teach you how to create an entirely new brain matrix. That is, by combining these 3 amazing techniques. First one is EFT and tapping. The second one is Ho'oponopono. And the third one is heart math. The new frontier in energy work is the subconscious. In fact, Bruce Lipton and Deepak Chopra both said that unless we can somehow clear out the subconscious, we're not going to be able to manifest very well. And remember this, if you are wanting something, you're attracting lack because you don't have it. So what we're going to do with these techniques is teach you how to gain inner abundance so that you attract outer abundance to you. And it works beautifully. These techniques are cutting edge, and I've seen them work over and over again. I'm excited about helping you on your journey.
So he'll be here next week. Manifest Your Dreams Seminar, Garland Landreth.
And the first part of the seminar is Sunday after the service, and the choir will be here with their lunch and bake sale so that you can get all that nourishment before you go into that first part of the seminar. So they will be here with us after the 11 o'clock service.
And we'd like to have Reverend Janee come forward. She's going to share a little updates on our youth ministry. So welcome,
Thank you.
the Rev.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Happy December to all of you from all of us in Youth Ed. I just wanted to give you a little idea of what we're up to in December. We have a really busy month. In December, all of our lessons are going to focus on the sacredness of the season. We'll be looking each week in a different way at the birth of Jesus and about the birth of the Christ within our own hearts. Excuse me. And each Sunday up until Christmas, we're also going to be having a living Advent garden that the kids will be building each week. It's really wonderful. Beverly Aiken is leading that. And this week we start with hope and giving thanks for the earth and the rocks and the minerals. So today the kids will be adding soil and rocks and minerals. Next week we give thanks for the animals, and those will be, the plants. And then we'll add those, and then we give thanks for the animals. And then we end the Sunday before Christmas by adding humankind, and we'll be reenacting the nativity scene. And it's just such a lovely thing for our kids. And I know they're going to love it. And all of us that have been involved love it. And Beverly is just a blessing in so many ways. Our youth ed jewelry sale, I know you've all been waiting for that. And it starts today. We are setting up in the kitchen today to give everybody a little more room and a little bit of warmth. So grab a cup of coffee and come check us out. For those of you that know Margaret Stein, her daughter donated all of her costume jewelry. And so we have a special little table with her collection. And she was just loved by so many that if you'd like to take a little piece of her energy home with you today, we have her collection on display. So come take a look. There's something for everybody. And already there's such a buzz after first service that I just get so excited about it. So come and join us. Also on Saturday, December 14th, we're going to have our holiday fun day here at Spiritual Life Center for our youth. It's a day for us just to have fun and connect and do crafts and crazy stuff. And there's a flyer and a sign-up sheet out at the youth ed table if you'd like to bring your kids to that. I also wanted to put the word out that we're looking for another YOU sponsor to work with our teens. So if that's something that calls to you, please come talk to me or to Michael Lawson. Michael Lawson is our lead sponsor, and you'd be working with him. And it's wonderful, and it's such a great program. And our teens are just amazing. So if that's something that speaks to you, let me know. Or if any aspect of youth ed speaks to you, we are always welcoming warm hearts. So just let me know. And the last thing I just want to remind you is the last Sunday of this month, our teens are going to be putting on our Blessing of the World Religion service. Our youth will be involved, and they're going to be singing. So save the date and come support our kids. It's going to be a marvelous day. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
And just a reminder, next week, we have a great service here, but the California International Marathon is happening. So those of you who live around that route, go online and check and see what the route is and what the times are. Or if you actually get a newspaper, it's probably in there as well.
Yes, I could have used that a few years ago. Well, we're starting a new tradition this year. In the lobby is a Christmas prayer tree, and you can pick up a Christmas tag. You can write a prayer on it, and you can put it on the tree. And then we're going to keep these prayer tags on the tree during the season. And then afterwards, the chaplains are going to bless them and send them to Silent Unity at the end of the season. So if you have something you want to hold in prayer, we invite you just to put one of the tags on that prayer tree. And speaking of prayer, I want to acknowledge a few people this morning, including our chaplains who pray with us, our ambassadors, and any board of trustee members that are here this morning. And the ambassadors, I'll start out with them, are wearing the rainbow ribbons, and they're here to answer questions that you may have about our community and point you in the right direction. And we appreciate the consciousness they bring in being the ambassadors of our community. Our board of trustees will have a purple ribbon on their name badge, and they're here to help guide and shape and set the strategic direction of our community. And we appreciate them for the time and the talent that they bring, which is quite a bit. And it takes quite a bit behind the scenes to bring forth what we offer here at the community. And they do all of that without much notice. So we thank them for their presence. And finally, our prayer chaplains are doing the very important work of holding prayer consciousness all day, every day actually, but they also will pray with you immediately after this service if you're going through a challenge or just want to celebrate something good that's been going on in your life. They're wearing the white stoles and will be here in the sanctuary to pray with you or in the courtyard. So we thank them for bringing their wonderful consciousness to our community.
And if you're with us for the very first time, in a moment we're going to ask you to raise your hand. But first, we just want you to know that there are many ways to become connected here at SLC. Speaking with the people Reverend James has just introduced is one way, and another way is to fill out the card that the greeters will give you legibly. And then you can either put it in the offering basket or take it outside to the welcome table. It's right outside the door. And if you do that, they have a very special gift for you.
So if you're here for the very first time, any first timers here, just invite you to raise your hand so you can get the special card that we have and the ribbon and get that special greeting. Well, I think we're here because we all know each other. We know where Spiritual Life Center is, so that's why we ended up here this morning. So I invite you then to turn to a friend or a neighbor and just say, you are marvelous and glad you are here.
Stay standing and join us in singing our group song. I am as God created me in the light, in the love, and in the glory. Please join us in singing. In the Please be seated.
Yes, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Ah, let's take a nice breath together after all that light and glory. Rather glorious. So now we are going to speak together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And now, in preparation for meditation, we're so blessed to sing yet another beautiful chant written by Paula Mandela, Radiant Star. You are a radiant star of peace. I invite you to take a nice deep breath and settle in. Let these words pour into you. Please join us in singing. I am a radiant star of peace. All thoughts of aggression in me cease. In every word and word I speak, see the light of this world, the light of the world, see the light of the world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star of peace. All thoughts of aggression in me cease. In every deed and word I speak, see the light of the world, the light of the world, see the light of the world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star of peace. All thoughts of aggression in me cease. In every deed and word I speak, see the light of the world, the light of the world, see the light of the world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star of
As we move into this time of meditation, let's breathe together. Breathing in and breathing out. I am a radiant star of peace. Breathe that in. A radiant star of peace, shining forth peace into the world. In every deed and word I speak, see the light of this world increase. Breathe that in, deep into your belly. We're star stuff. We're the light. And we're here to shine. Your peaceful presence lights the world. You are the light of the world. You and me and all people of all faiths. We are how God brings light into the world. And by knowing our own light, we know that light in all. And that's why we gather together in places like this, to know and experience our light more fully, the truth of our being, so that we may be that light through our words and actions, and by simply being. Mother Teresa said, if we don't have peace, it's because we've forgotten that we belong to each other. And we do belong to each other. These bodies give us the illusion of being separate, but we aren't. At the level of spirit, we're connected, beautifully woven together in this precious web of life. We are a beautiful mixture of colors, cultures, and faiths. Each of us a unique expression of God's light. May we know the treasure of our diversity, the treasure of our heart, your beautiful heart. Breathe into your heart space. Breathing in and breathing out. Your heart knows oneness. It's where presence arises and joins with the presence of another's heart. You are the light of the world. Human kindness, connection, and peace are just a few of the gifts of the light. As we move into the silence, rest here in the light of your Creator, the light of your God, the light that you are. Your heart knows oneness, and it naturally shines. You are a radiant star of peace. Let's light the world. Thank you, God. Amen.
I'm not right. You're not wrong. We both know what this love of ours is built upon. We are shadows, tiny sparrows, safe inside clear blue sky of another storm, moving in and out of time, in and out the circle of life. We are children of the angels, keepers of the fire. We are children of the angels, reaching for the light. We are not strangers, we're sisters and brothers. I know we came here to love each other, here in the circle of life. Each one thinks they have the answer. Each one believes that they can see the way, the only one. Truth lies waiting, always waiting, like a love, a peaceful dove, right there inside your soul, from another place in time, moving into the circle of life. We are children of the angels, keepers of the fire. We are children of the angels, reaching for the light. We are not strangers, we're sisters and brothers. I know we came here to love each other, here in the circle of life.
All right, second slice, third slice, don't know. It's all good, whatever slice it is. Thank you so much. Reminding us of that circle of light that is always around us. And it dovetails into how I was going to introduce this talk this morning, how we're all interconnected with this circle of light. It was about 2009, I went to the Parliament of World Religions in Barcelona, Spain. And there were about 8,000 to 10,000 people from maybe 80 countries, 50 religions being represented. And they all came from, different perspectives and had their garbs and colorful. It was a magnificent array of people. And we had a contingent of New Thought folks that included Unity, religious science, now known as Centers for Spiritual Living, and Agape, the Universal Foundation for Better Living, founded by Janee Coleman in Chicago, had a number of churches, as well as other New Thought organizations. And because New Thought was not really that well known amongst the Parliament, we were arranging to have a presentation of the different representatives from these organizations. And the whole idea was to take a religious principle or a religious pathway and find out what principle related to New Thought. And I happened to get the principle or the religion of Jainism, which is an offshoot of Hinduism. And I focused specifically on this concept called ahimsa, which is nonviolence in so many words, and how that related to our concept or principle of peace. And as I went through and researched it, I realized that this particular strand of spirituality embraced a diversity of beliefs. And they were very open-minded. And they were very open to other spiritual paths. And I was reminded of a statement from the Hindu tradition that says that truth is one, but sages or spiritual teachers call it by different names. So as we approach Christmas, this mass celebration of the Christ in December, it reminded me of a question that was posed to me by one of my spiritual teachers. And he said, imagine if Jesus was seated at a table. And at this table was a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Zoroastrian, a Shintoist. Do you think he would turn to all of them and say, you must forsake your beliefs and accept mine? Well, I don't think he would do that. I don't think that was his stance, because I believe that he came here to free humanity from formal religion. Because he taught spiritual principles that were about universality, that anyone, regardless of what path they may be on, or if they had no path at all, they can apply it to their life. And so as I look at December, in addition to Christmas, there are several celebrations that are taking place. They include Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, the winter solstice, Diwali, just to name a few. And they all have something in common as I looked at each of them. They all make mention or bring up this idea of the light. In Hanukkah, there's a celebration of lighting the menorahs. In Kwanzaa, which is a 7-day holiday or celebration that celebrates African American culture or African culture, and they have rituals for those 7 days, and each day they light a different candle that represents that ritual on something called the Kinara. In the winter solstice, it celebrates the rebirth of the sun because the days get longer from then on out, so it's relating to light in some way. And the Festival of the Lights, also known as Diwali, has a 5-day period as well. We're even going to do a number of things, including the Advent Spiral on December the 18th. And there's candles, I believe, lit for that, as well as our regular candlelight service. And I remember when I lived in Missouri, in Kansas City, if you went down to a place called the Plaza, that during the Christmas season, before it would start, they had this big event. And like in the Plaza, they had all the hotels and the restaurants and nightlife. And for a 15-block area, every single building was lit up during the Christmas season. I mean, it's such a big deal that people would rent hotel rooms just to see the moment that the lights came on. And so I thought about that as I thought about today's topic about the season of the lights. Because all of those celebrations lift, I think, our collective humanity to another level. As if people are stopping for just a moment of their life, pulling themselves away from their daily habits, their daily routines, in order to celebrate the love and the givingness of spirit. And while each experience appears to be different, at bottom, they're all celebrating the same essence. They're talking about the light, not necessarily the outer light, but the inner light that it represents within all of us. You know, Jesus was a mystic and a prophet and a seer of the ages. And most importantly, of course, he was the great example of our possibilities. And he reminded us of this essence that we all have. He called this essence the light that lighteth of every man and woman that cometh into the world. It is the Shekinah of the soul, as in the Hebrew tradition. It's something that is very real within all of us. And if we can but walk in this awareness and affirm and talk from this awareness and practice these sacred principles, we'll acknowledge this presence of God as our life. And we will be in the number constantly celebrating our true nature and being the light of ourselves. It is the gift of the eternal that we've all been given. Understand that this light of our being is what we are. And whenever anyone celebrates or expresses that light, and we're around that person, we are lifted up. I remember a number of years ago, I was attending a friend's 65th birthday. And there was a person who stood up to give testimony to this particular person who happened to be an attorney, and I was in that circle at that time. And we had a lot of characters in our circle. But this particular attorney, he was an honest attorney. He was a loving, kind attorney. He was an attorney of very rare ilk. And this person was sharing about his consciousness and how he strived to show up so that people around him would want to be better. And as I thought about that, I thought about the movie As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson. You remember that movie? Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt was in that movie. And Jack Nicholson was playing a character that had some OCD, some issues. And whenever he talked to someone, even if he was trying to give them a compliment, it would just come out all horrible. And it would really be a put down. And he had done this with his love interest, Helen Hunt. And at one point, she was really upset because she never got anything positive from him. And she said, could you say something positive about me? And he thought about it for a moment. Had that Jack and well, let me tell you. Do you remember the time that you came by and you ended up leaving? And I must have said something that upset you. And I was upset that you left. And so, as you know, I have this condition. And the doctor said that in order to deal with this condition, I had to take this pill every single day. And I hate pills. I never took those pills. But that day when you left, I decided to take the pill. And he waited, and Helen Hunt asked him, well, how is that a compliment to me? And he said these very words, you make me want to be a better man. She said that was the greatest compliment she had ever heard in her life. But anyway, I digress. I'm going back to the attorney that they were giving this tribute to. And the person got up and they were quoting Dear Abby. I don't remember Dear Abby. Used to have the advice column. Now they got, all kinds of, columnists and reporters and gossip columnists. And anyway, that person was quoting Dear Abby. And he said, I don't want to be trite, but in the Dear Abby column, she talked about two kinds of people. There's the kind of people that walk in, when you walk into a room, they say to themselves, well, here I am. And then there's the kind of people that when you walk into a room, they say, there you are. They light up something within them. And the person went on to say that when this attorney came in, he walked into the room, and he had that energy that said, when you walked in, there you are. He made you feel special. It's a consciousness of compassion and nurturing and caretaking, and not this, here I am, that selfish perspective. But there you are. And I think to walk with that kind of consciousness is to express the light. You know, esoterically, our body, temple, is described as a large optic nerve. And when attending and our attention is focused and our resolve is absolutely anchored in our true nature and being, and we're coming from that space, we can hear the words of the master teacher saying that when your eye is single, your body shall be full of life. When it's single on who you really are. And so we are all that optic nerve. And when properly focused, we glow, we light up the world, which is why he said, ye are the light. As I like to say, he didn't say, give me a light, bud or otherwise. He said, ye are the light of every person that comes into the world. And that's our real identity. And when we contemplate that, we realize that that identity is not about a religion. It's just what it is. Just like water is wet. We don't make a religion out of it. That's the way it is. And our life is hid in that light. Our light is here to express who we really are. And as we do, we shine, and we either have that happen through our pains in life or our insight. You know, we may try to frustrate the light, but ultimately, I don't believe we can stop it. You know, it's like the time that someone came to, a unity service and said they could never come back, and thought that they were being insulted by what was going on. But he said, and the reason I can't come back is that y'all didn't talk about, being a born sinner. You didn't talk about hell, didn't talk about damnation. And when I come, I want to feel bad. And so when I feel bad, I feel good. And y'all didn't make me feel bad, so I didn't feel good today. There was a weird logic. But anyway, eventually they did come back because they were open to the light that was in them. You know, one of the most memorable experiences of being at the Parliament those years ago when it was held in Barcelona was the sharing of women and mothers. And they were from Palestine and they were from Israel. And if we read about the conflict that goes on in that region of the world, and it's very intense. And I didn't realize how intense the emotions were until I spoke to a friend of mine who happened to, he became a friend. He ran a store, and I used to talk to him regularly when I came by. And I don't know how this conversation came up. We were talking, and I mentioned something about Israel, and his whole countenance changed. He was sending out a lot of harsh, venomous, angry energy. I mean, it was so intense, I thought I better leave before he does something to me because I brought this up. But it just represented to me how intense the relationship is and antagonistic it was. And there were representatives from these two groups, and they explained that they decided to come together. And they were going to break down the barriers that separated them. And as their leaders were continuing their conflicts, in which caused the death of many of their children, these women explained that they were going to mourn together. And they shared with each other. They broke bread together. They shared their common pain of losing family members to the conflicts that have been taking place over all of those years. And they had a common vision. And they said that we'll never lose a loved one again. And we're going to find ways to peacefully build bridges between Israel and Palestine. That was their mission. It was a mostly moving experience for all those who were there and who knew about how intense the relationship was. And they moved beyond their beliefs. They taught each other how is it they could work together for good. How can they get beyond their doctrines and differences and separations and countries and their history and be open to the insights and revelations and come not from their shadow but come from their light. You know, later on in that event, there was an interfaith gathering that many of us attended. And the person challenged those present to come to an understanding that this thing we call spirit, this great spirit that we all relate to, is simply too big for any denomination or spiritual tradition or any philosophy to hold in check. And it's our task to lose attachment to our own points of view long enough to catch the unlimited potential of this presence. And later on, I don't know if that event or the other one, it was another event I was with, and it happened to be with the Dalai Lama. I wasn't with him, but I was with another people who came to a breakfast. And they used to talk about how when he showed up, the room would seemingly light up. And I heard about that, but I said, I don't think that's true. Anyway, and when he walked in the room, he did seem to have a countenance that changed the whole energy field. And someone posed a question to him during this dialogue. And I don't remember what the question was, but he said in response something like this: I used to answer that question as if I was a Buddhist. But I realized by doing that, I was narrowing my field of perception. So I opened myself up and I got fresh insight, and it made me a better Buddhist. It was a profound statement, I thought, coming from such an enlightened being. I think in order for us to open up to fresh insight, there are times we want to get off our positions. We want to drop our opinions. When we do, we can see beyond the veil of what we think to be true. I think the women at that parliament demonstrated that, and demonstrated that the challenges that we face, the difficulties that we encounter, the conflicts rooted in history need not have the final word. They're nothing more than raw material that gives us an opportunity to rise above our limited human perceptions and shine that inherent light that we all are. So this month is the beginning of the seasons of the light. It's about a vibration. It's about lifting our attention. It's our own kind of rite of passage into the greatest of who we can be. And this is achieved not by adding anything to us. We don't have to add anything to us. I don't think we come here to any way, shape, or form to add anything to us. We already have everything. It's about releasing the light inhibitors, releasing the peace inhibitors, releasing the grace inhibitors, releasing the things that we may be frustrating from coming through. And I think Jesus gave us some guidelines, or as I like to say, Godlines, to release those inhibitors. He said, the measure you give is the measure you get. I think we're reminded this season that our consciousness of giving should be real and authentic. And when we do that, it begins to eliminate, it dissolves the main obstacle for the eternal light from shining forth. And if I were to put it in a song, it would go something like this. Me, 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 me. I. My. Now, that probably all off tune. I don't even know what song that is. It's a James Trapp song. But that's really a consciousness of selfishness. It's one of the leading obstacles from the light from coming through. It keeps us myopic. We're not seeing our true self, not realizing that we're connected to everything and everyone, that circle of light. You know, Martin Luther King reminded us that we're all inextricably linked to everyone on the planet. What happens to one of us happens to all of us. And so that me, I, my consciousness serves as an inhibitor. It blocks the grace, but it can be dissolved when we get intentional about it. And I think this particular season of the lights is really about the attention on giving rather than giving way to the gross materialism. Sometimes rises up during this time of the year. It reminds us of the gift of light that is within all of us. And we're here to share that gift, to glow, to radiate, to shine, and to be ourselves. In a small way, I saw it was represented by a video I saw on YouTube. And I think we're going to see that video like right about now. And you'll get an idea of what it means to shine the lights. This is a 7-year-old boy with his young brother. And I think it represented that light that is within each and every one of us.
我第一次睁开眼睛，看见的是你。我第一次哭泣，为我擦干的是你。我第一次跌倒时，搀扶的是你。 我第一次喊妈妈呀，最开心的是你。我第一次离开家，送我的是你。我第一次有成绩，最激动的是你。我第一次绝望时，呼唤的是你。我第一次懂事时，夸奖的是你。妈妈呀，妈妈呀，我想你。没有你的眼里，我好孤寂。去往天堂的路是否太拥挤？妈妈累了，你就好好休息。妈妈呀，妈妈呀，我想你。你走后的天空一直下着雨，带上你心爱的油纸伞。妈妈，你要照顾自己。妈妈呀，妈妈呀，我想你。是你让我鼓起了勇气。我们约好了吧，约好了吧，来生在这里团聚。我第一次离开家，送我的是你。我第一次有成绩，最激动的是你。我第一次。
Well, I think in that little short video, it's a living demonstration of shining the light that's within each and every one of us. I think it serves as a contrast sometimes of the gross materialism and consumerism that takes over during this time of the season, that sometimes it blocks the gift of the light. And of course, there's nothing wrong with the gifts and nothing wrong with business making money, because we must realize the real purpose of a business is to deliver service, and it activates the light. Even in our medical field with so many challenges, it's really about healing, and it activates the light. In the artistic model, it's about displaying the good of God, and the music is about the sounds of spirit being expressed so that we can be at one with this presence. I think anything we do on a material plane is fine if it's spiritually grounded and centered on the gift of the eternal, the gift of the light, and if it's expressed, it indicates why we are here. So I think the season of lights reminds us of all of this. So we must check ourselves and see where we have been run by a limited point of view, or being run by the activation of the gift within us that says to give, to share, to let, to allow, and be and proclaim the presence and the power and the love of God that is within us. We are here to be the great givers, the great radiators of the divine spirit. And I think this is the season that the lights are all about. Peace and blessings to you. So it is, and so we let it be, as we start the season of the lights. Okay. Let us prepare for our gifts, our tithes, our love offerings, and just know that we're getting to the flow of something divine and wonderful. A principle that says that whatever you give out begins to come back to you in ways you never imagined. To support not only this community for those who are on their way for transformation, but all those that are on their way here in the future. So with that awareness, let us say together our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
We're going to close the service today with a chant from the Sikh tradition. And some people pronounce that Sikh, but I've learned that it's actually pronounced Sikh. Those are the folks that wear the white turbans. And this is a Sanskrit chant, Hari Om Satanam. Hari meaning the remover of trouble, pain, and blockages. Om meaning divine truth. Satanam, true essence, renewal, and transformation. Now, customarily, this is a kirtan chant that would be sung for 20 or 30 minutes. We're going to condense it down, and it becomes much more powerful if you join in with the chant. So you will hear it quite soon.
Dear Lord, something holy name. When I call on the light within, I go home.
Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name. When I call on the light within, I go home.
Hari Om, dear Lord, something holy name. When I call on the light within, I go home.
Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name. When I call on the light within, I go home. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. Call on the light. Call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. Call on the light. Call on the light within.
call on the light within. That's going to be in my head all this week. Call on the light within. So when we have this time, we bless the tithes and offerings, knowing we're going to bless the givers and receivers as we send out our light into this world, and we can be those instruments and channels in this light that is so needed in this lifetime that we're all going through. So it is. Amen. And with that, let us join together and sing our peace song. That